Hello YouTube, this is Francesca Gagliardi. This video here today will be about intrauterine devices, IUDs, but more specifically the copper IUD paragard, of which I experienced. I had the copper IUD paragard and it was in me for a year, and in that year it destroyed my life. I had many problems with it. At first I thought it was a saving grace, as all women would with birth control. However, it changed vastly. After having my second child, I wanted a form of birth control for my own safety, for my own security, and I just felt like an IUD would be the best choice. But it turned out it wasn't. It wasn't at all. It changed my life completely. I had a doctor tell me that the paragard, the copper IUD, would last for 10 to 12 years. I thought that would be great. It turns out it wasn't great. It was bad. It changed me. I was told it was non-hormonal, and it actually is quite the opposite, which I'll explain later to you. Doctors were very persistent in making me get an IUD. They spoke of nothing bad about it, and they only talked about the pros, not the cons. So I really went into it with no idea what to expect. You should get an IUD now before Trump takes office in January. I fear for those women. I fear that for them because I had a horrible time with an IUD. I was told that I would have some heavy cramping, and I was told that I would have very heavy periods as well. This was supposed to go away. These symptoms were only supposed to be for a few months, but they weren't, not at all. I had symptoms that would worsen, such as horrible backaches. Actually, my periods went away completely. I began to not ovulate every month like a normal woman should. And it was because of the IUD, not because of something else that was wrong with me. This was all stemming from the IUD, which I had no idea. I began to get periods once every 2 months, rather than once a month. I had cramps all month. Sometimes I would be on the floor with a heating pad to my stomach because I just couldn't take the pain. I couldn't pick up my son. I'm a mother with 2 kids to raise, and to feel like I can't do a proper job at being a mother, to be there for my children, was horrifying. Aside from the normal symptoms that people were supposed to have with IUDs, I also experienced very real and very serious things such as hair loss, decreased sex drive, completely loss of interest in sex, fatigue, incontinence, bone loss, which I am now having to deal with trips to the dentist, allergic reactions. I was breaking out in hives. I couldn't understand why. Depression, feeling inadequate, this heavy fog that was over me. The fog is the best word to describe the whole IUD experience for me, because I felt so unsure of myself. I felt so indecisive. I felt like every decision I made wasn't the right one. And with that, I felt guilt. I felt inadequate. I felt empty. And I honestly didn't feel like Francesca anymore. I felt as though there was nothing more that I could do to better my situation. Not to mention the weight gain. I gained 20 pounds within a year, and I only had the IUD for a year. And in that time, I experienced bloating, pelvic cramping, fluid in my pelvis that I could hear gurgling. I had multiple trips to the ER because I couldn't understand what exactly was going on. It hurt to sit and stand. My first ER visit, when I explained my symptoms to the doctors, they thought I had something of like ovarian torsion, where the ovary is twisted, and it's actually something you could die from. But my symptoms were comparing to just that. and they were extremely worried. I had a CT scan, and they saw the IUD, and it was perfectly placed. Nothing wrong with it. No cause for concern. But that was the problem. Little did I know, little did they know. They didn't tell me one thing about it. They made it as though nothing was wrong with your IUD. I don't know what exactly you're feeling though, but bye. I had a second trip to the ER about 2 weeks after because the pain was getting unbearable. Worse and worse every day. After all the poking and prodding through the gynecologist and ER doctors, I developed a UTI. And they assumed it was just that, all my symptoms, and they took me less seriously for the second time going to the ER about it because they couldn't figure out it the first time. So I left there with some antibiotics, and that was it. No one suggested the IUD. No one thought that that was the reason that I was experiencing these things. I felt weak. I felt defeated. And most of all, I was depressed. I didn't understand why this was happening to me, and I felt like no one understood what I was going through. No one knew exactly what was going on with me, and that was scary because I didn't know what was next for me. I didn't know if this was going to be my life with my children, with my boyfriend. I didn't know if this was going to be it for me, that I was going to be in chronic pain with no help, with no understanding of what it is, with it feeling like, wow, is it all in my mind? Am I making all this up? I can't be because the pain is so severe. I feel like I can't walk. I feel like I can't do normal activities. Researched a few Facebook groups on the internet, things that I was feeling, and I eventually realized that the IUD was causing me such pain. This is a source from womenagainststirrups.com. Copper IUD promotes the release of leukocytes and prostaglandins by the endometrium. Prostaglandins control hormone regulation. So here we see again that the copper IUD has an indirect effect on hormones and can create imbalances. Now, with that being said, this counterclaims that copper IUDs are non-hormonal, when it is directly affecting the hormones. In other words, it's complete bullshit. I see on the internet class action lawsuits against IUDs. I see women's stories of them also feeling what I felt. I will post those links down below because those were saving graces for me in a very dark time. I was completely giving up on myself because of the IUD. Eventually, I decided that it was time to make an appointment with my gynecologist to get it removed. And I would tell them on the phone, I'm experiencing such pain. I would go there begging for an appointment, and they put me on a waiting list, asked them to talk to me about this, and they were always so busy. I went there 2 times to make an appointment, and because my insurance is so limited to who I could go see, I kept getting dismissed by them, and eventually I looked up if I could remove this myself. Turns out you can remove your IUD yourself, though it has to be properly placed in there. You don't want to go to any extremes where you feel as though it may be perforated, where it's embedding itself into the uterus. So if it's anything like that, I would suggest not doing it if that is the pain you are feeling, and you can look that up for symptoms on that specific pain. But for me, I had so many ER visits that I knew that my IUD was properly placed in my uterus that I didn't really worry about it. And also, I was feeling that this was an extreme measure to get it out, and they say that it is best to get it out when you are on your period, so it hurts less. I was only getting my period once every 2 months, so I knew if I didn't get in the doctors now to get this done, or didn't get this out now, I would have to endure this for another 2 months before I could even have a shot at it again. With that being said, my boyfriend took it out for me. It was very simple, and I'm so thankful that he did that for me, because I felt instant relief. Something that I cannot even explain to you, because it was like a weight was lifted off of my stomach. It was damaging to me. It was something that I felt was ruining my life, and when that left my body, I can't even describe to you the feeling that that felt. I would like all the women out there to do their own research on IUDs before they go out and go get an IUD. This is some serious stuff. This is a foreign object in your body that has to stay in there. Your body could just reject it altogether, as it did for me. I am currently 7 months without a copper IUD, and I could tell you that I feel unstoppable. I feel like my normal self. I can't describe to you in words, but I am doing so much better. I play with my kids. I have a lust for life. I want to see the world. I don't think that every day is going to be a horror. I don't sit there getting depressed about silly little things that I couldn't control because it was my hormones going up and down. The weight came off of me. Within 3 months, I lost the weight at which I had gained through the IUD. My skin felt better. My skin felt healthier. My body overall was feeling back to its normal self. I wasn't feeling as though I was having chronic pain in my pelvis. It wasn't hurting to sit and stand. It wasn't hurting to have sex. It wasn't hurting to lift things. I felt stronger than ever. I feel great. And I recommend that you go and do your research and find out if this is right for you, if you are willing to have these side effects. Because I didn't have enough research. I didn't know enough information about it. I didn't know what could go wrong. So before you read all these articles saying run out and get your IUDs today before Trump takes presidency, I want you to do your research. I really do. I don't want there to be another woman facing what I faced, thinking that this is my life now. This is how it's gonna be. Because it's not. This video is meant for women who don't know enough about IUDs, who are thinking of getting an IUD, but don't know the side effects, who have an IUD and are feeling lost and incomplete, feeling like they don't understand what's going on with them. It's not you, it's the IUD. This video is not for women that love their IUD and have experienced nothing but greatness from it and have no complaints. This is for the other women out there.